Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Richard McElroy. I'll be your professor for the Vista College course in management. What I'd like to do this afternoon is take a couple of minutes to introduce myself so you have some idea of who I am and where I come from. And I'd like to give you a brief introduction and orientation into our course. So let's go ahead, we'll get started. What you'll see is what I'd like to cover today is briefly something about me, so you have some idea who your professor is for the course. Also, I'd like to do a brief run through on the course shell, so we're all oriented into where all the features of the course shell and where all the assignments are. Then let's take a quick look at the course content, and then of course the expectations. What would we want to see during the course? So let's move ahead. Something about myself, briefly, very briefly, and you could read this on my introduction in the course. But basically, I started where I've told 1,000 students. I started where all great business professors started, the North Atlantic, patrolling north of Iceland, U.S. submarine service. I got out of the service. I went to nuclear utilities. I have a family, one daughter. She's now 32. I have a lap dog, a big 90-pound black Labrador. We live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and let's get this picture off so you can see up against the wall. I have 6 degrees. I earned all of them, by the way. That is specifically pertinent to your journey. I earned all of my degrees after the Navy. I was a working adult, much like yourself. So I know what it's like to go to work, come home, pay bills, cook dinner, wash the dishes, walk the dog, and then study. So I know where you're coming from. All right, let's jump into the course shell. There's a couple things I'd like to point out is when you're in the course shell, when on your course landing page, you're going to see on the left side a number of tabs, and I'm sure you're already familiar with it. If by chance you haven't had the opportunity, I highly recommend get into your course shell, go into each one of the tabs, take a look at what's there, become very, very familiar with the course shell and where all of the tabs lead you. Believe me, you can't break anything. Go in and take a look around. The first one I'd specifically like to point out is just under the home, you'll see announcements. I will make course home announcements fairly frequently. It is one of the ways that I'll help you navigate through the course. So I highly recommend go in, take a look at my course home announcements frequently, hopefully daily, and see if I have given you any guidance on what's coming up and what you need to do. Another one I would highly recommend is your course syllabus. Of course, the course syllabus will outline a number of things that are critical to your successful journey through the course. One are the learning objectives. Learning objectives basically are the things, the behaviors, the things you should be able to do when you complete the course. You'll see learning objectives all start with verbs. You should be able to demonstrate, explain. All right, so take a look at the syllabus about your learning objectives. And as we move through the course, make sure, do a self-test, make sure that what you're learning, what you're experiencing in our study together is helping you achieve those objectives. Another one you're going to see in the syllabus, it will clearly outline week by week by week what you need to do, including all the reading, the lecture material that you'll need to go through, and then any assignments, whether it's an assignment or written assignment, an assignment, some sort of a development of a spreadsheet as an example, or taking a quiz. Highly recommend print off your syllabus. Make sure you're very familiar with what we'll go through in the next few weeks. All right, the next one is we will engage every week in a scholarly discussion. So I just want to give you a brief outline on the discussion. I'm very interested in the discussion, not to go too far afield here, but my doctoral work is in cognitive development. So I recognize that the development, your development as a professional is centered on two things. One is the acquisition of more knowledge, but also the experience with that knowledge. So you have to be comfortable applying what you learn, and you'll find this routinely in the workplace. So how do we do that in an academic setting? I suggest to you that what we study we'll want to discuss in depth every week. When you engage in the discussions, you'll want to go fairly deeply. Show me what you know about the topic. Be sure to demonstrate your knowledge of the topic. Now, the best way to do this, by the way, is in your discussions, is to reference, cite, pull material, quotes, citations, theories, abstract notions out of your book, out of your study material. Incorporate that into your discussion. All right. Another one is critical thinking. I believe that it is critically important for you to engage in critical thinking about the topics. What is critical thinking? Basically, critical thinking is your ability to think about your thinking, your thoughts, your knowledge, your opinions, your ideas about the topic, and then shift, grow, mature in those ideas, those outlooks about the topic. If, as an example, in your discussions and in life, if you study the material, file it away in that bottom drawer, never reference it again, and rely as you move through your career based solely on opinion, you'll be somewhat limited. What you want to do with all course material is not to engage in it as an academic exercise, if you will, but rather it's helping you develop for real world application. So just a suggestion, I would highly recommend you engage in critical thinking about the topic material that we'll cover each week, applying it to your own real world experiences. So whatever we're studying, think about the topic, the ideas, the theories, the notions, but how it would have applied to you in the past and how you see it applying to you right now in your job. Now, a quick one, just so you know, everybody's interested in, well, how do we grade? I grade along these points. You have to post a minimum of 3 times a week. Everyone has to answer the question, but then you'll want to further explore, further expand on your posting on the topic. So one is you can post to me. Another is you can post to colleagues. But you know, if there is no one answering your post or posting a responsive comment to your post, you can always go back in and further explore the topic. So at the end of the week, I would expect to see everybody answers post at least 3 times. Everyone has to answer the question and then post 2 additional posts, either to me, a colleague, or supplemental posts to your original. What would I expect to see in those posts? Again, a demonstration of knowledge, demonstration of critical thinking about that topic. That means application. How would you apply it in the real world? What I really caution against in the discussions, because I see them as so important, is to shy away from almost conversational tone, conversational level in the discussion. Comments such as, you betcha, I agree. Those don't really further the conversation or help in your development. So again, let's dig deep in the discussions. Now let's see what my next slide is, the course content. Let's move to the course content in this way. What would you expect to see every week as you move through the course? What I have on the screen is a typical week. You'll find this view, by the way, in your modules view from your landing page. The first is your learning objectives. Always, always, always review your learning objectives. What do you intend to be able to do? What behavior do you intend to be able to exhibit at the end of the week when you get through your studies? The next is your lecture material. You'll find your lecture material frequently is Word documents or PowerPoint slides. Be sure to go through those and reflect on your own experiences. Look at the lecture material as kind of an overview of how things should work and compare it to how things have actually worked in the real world. Then, of course, if you go down to that third area in the weekly module, you're going to find that you have your reading material. You'll always be referenced back to a specific part of the textbook that covers our topic for the week. Be sure to do two things. I highly recommend that you read the material, but I suggest, this is a tip I learned years and years and years ago, read the material as if you're going to teach the material. What you'll find you're doing is you're actually calming your mind, focusing on the material and studying, not just reading at a high level, but you're studying the material. You absorb it more. So read the material, study the material, just like you had to turn around and teach it to someone. Now, you'll see under the reading assignments each week, you have a discussion area. Open up the discussion area. You'll find every week we ask you a pertinent, direct question about the topic that we're covering for the week. Be sure to engage early. If you're in a class with a few people, what you'll find is you want to get in early in the week and give your colleagues ample opportunity to read your post. What I have found in the past, some students may wait until the very end of the week. So if you post, as an example, late Sunday night, you can't well expect your colleagues are going to get in and really read, study, absorb your post. So give your colleagues a chance to take a look at what you've written. So get in early in the week, certainly by Wednesday. What I've seen all my successful students doing in the past, by the way, is, they'll read the book on Saturday, Sunday night they post an answer. By Monday morning when I open up, frequently I'll find my very strong, successful students have already been in. They've already posted an answer to their to the discussion question. All right, so now if you jump down in your module view under discussions, you're going to find a number of assignments. They are fairly well explained within the assignment area. Go in, open it up, take a look at the assignment guidelines. Here is a tip for you. Where I have most frequently found students to stumble in any assignment is because they have failed to incorporate one aspect, one element of the assignment guidelines into their written assignment. So as an example, if your written assignment says, well, I need you to do one thing, and then based on that, what's this second thing, and then third, explain how you might, and it's a third thing. Then I read the student's paper and I'll find, well, they well explored it and they defined it, but that third element is missing. Always, always, always make sure you're well familiar with the assignment guidelines. Don't leave anything out. And then, of course, in our course, every week you're going to have a quiz. It's fairly simple. Jump in, you'll click on the quiz, it will open up, it will tell you how much time you have, how many questions there are. So I think you'll find it fairly self-explanatory. Now about writing that college paper. In this course, in most of your college courses, you're going to have to write something. I've given you a web link, a URL address that will lead you to a ready source of information on how to write a college paper on the internet. Also, in your own Vista course shell, there are guidelines on how to write a college paper. Key here is to write not just a college paper. Remember, you're preparing for a professional position. So imagine if you're writing a report to your manager or senior manager, the junior executive in your department. You'll want to cover the same use the same style, same structure, same logic as you would in your academic paper. Well, what is that? You would never submit a report without a cover page. So always put in a cover page. You'll always have an introduction to your course paper. Look up on the internet, introduction to a college paper, and it will tell you the elements of an introduction. And then of course, structure your paper based on the elements that you put in your introduction. As an example, if you say in your introduction that there's a problem in the American economy and I see it in these 3 dimensions, well, then the reader will expect to see those 3 dimensions in your paper in 3 different areas with 3 different section headings. Another quick tip about your academic paper, but your professional work, professional reports in your career, they all have headings, they all have subsection headings, they all have page numbers. So be sure to take a look at how to draft your college paper, because it will prepare you for writing those professional papers at work. All right. Now, each week, here's what we're going to do. Be sure to take a look at those learning objectives. Those learning objectives are going to tell you what you should be able to do after we finish the study for the week. Take a look at the lecture material, reflect on it, compare it to your real world experience. Be sure to read and study the material. Read the book, study the book, the textbook, just like you're going to teach the topic. You'll absorb it, you'll develop better. Then each week, you need to engage in a discussion. Be sure to get in there 3 times. Be sure to get in at least by Wednesday. Last tips, do your assignments, complete your quizzes, all on time. And that's it, everybody. I think we're well prepared to jump into the course. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you online.